Hey, peace, God. You were here even earlier than me. And I see some people here. Running around, doing some other work. And also got some good questions, though. So I have give me a moment here. Let's see. Have a couple of questions here. Pardon, for the beginning here. I'm reading a very interesting email question. But data. I don't want to say all that wrong, please. Yeah, there's a lot of things to cover today. As usual, because there are so many things, I'm going to be doing what I did last time and writing notes. Fortunately for some, unfortunately for others, it depends on how you look at it, whether you look at it incorrectly or correctly. I think you should look at it this way. I may be repetitive. I may be repetitive on the stream, but if I repeat something, it's so you see the pedagogy of it if you've already heard it. If not, then you are learning it for the first time or learning it correctly. Okay? So, there were some questions from newborns, though, but I'm not going to say who they were or anything like that, but I would like to know if they were online so I could get into it. Let's see. One thing's for sure, though, that the way that the online class is structured, it certainly it favors the reality of the classroom. Not everyone is going to be a student where they say, listen, I'm the true and living God, or I don't see a mystery God in the sky and I see me as that such, or I see myself as the earth. Not everyone is going to do that. And just like the classroom at a law school in Mecca, it is a service. So wherever you're at, though, is more important, though, and what kind of usefulness we can bring to it. So this is what's most necessary, But Joe Self, peace. It's good to see some people I've never heard of before. It helps if you tell me where you're from, if you tell me what you would like to know, and then because as all the classrooms, let's not forget, just so you know, what we do is a public service. You're not initiated into some cult. We don't do religion. We don't do salat. We don't do any of those things. So we're not praying to any deity. If we face the East, it's because we're thinking about Qigong, or we're thinking about energy or something of that nature, scientific. We don't deal with any religion. We don't deal with anything that cannot be explained. And if it cannot be explained and we engage in it, then we are in the middle of an experiment, or we acknowledge that we are in the middle of an experiment. This is important to know. This is the nature. The nature, I would say, of a 5%er, someone that knows the truth and does their best to live it out. Right? And again, I'm writing notes. So I'm writing notes here, and I paste them into the summary once the video is officially uploaded, but also in in the chat, so you could take it down and work with it. You know, certain students of you listening, watching, you know, you went through all of it, so you should have the notes there and everything like that. You know, ideally, I would like everybody, but it really helps me when I have some kind of blackboard. But what I was saying about the nature of 5%, because sometimes I might say something simple, but it is not so simple. Certain things that we learn and generally in life seem simple in logic. And what happens is in learning this knowledge of self, and you might see this, in learning this knowledge of self, the idea of this knowledge seems simple. So if something is said that is logical, you might say, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And then you don't take it with you. It is something to study. It isn't something to say, okay, I get the logic. That literally is the knowledge stage. One, what you have to do is really actually absorb it and let it become wisdom. Experience it, use it, have it written down, and then work it so you get some kind of understanding. So it could reveal some kind of purpose in your daily life, right? All right. That's peace, Joseph. Okay, that's peace. So I said the nature of someone, the nature of a 5%er, right, is someone who is constantly engaging in challenge of testing what may or may not be true. This sounds logical like anyone else. And like anything else, anybody that experiments, understand that the experiment can run away with you. People experimenting with high explosives, people experimenting with things that they're not ready for. So the thing is, though, is that there is always a grounding. I think one of probably the most famous grounding is the 10th degree in the 140, right? Right? Waste no more time searching for that which does not exist. And how long were they searching? And the degree was trillions of years, right? So it's really to make it known that we're not going to spend this long doing that. So there has to be in that nature, there also has to be some type of way of shutting down an experiment, saying that this has gone too long. This has not been fruitful. You see? And the better student of that becomes a better scientist, knowing that certain things take amount of time. So you have to give yourself a certain amount of time in the experiment. Give yourself time in the experiment. Okay? This I find to be the most important thing. Okay? Let me write that as a complete sentence so it just doesn't look like a jotted note. Time in the experiment undertaking. An actual due date or expiration of it. Since we're dealing with the lessons, expiration date would be better. That's the way we have this language here. An actual expiration date for whatever variables that could or could not be controlled will be left as is. And then the next step after that is to then analyze it. Analyze it for real understanding. You see? Sometimes we don't have enough knowledge to actually deal with something properly, right? Let's see this. I'm answering another brother right now. But I got so many windows open, I forgot what the class was. Yeah, peace, Paragon. My brother Paragon. You know, my brother Paragon designed my Filtered Real book cover. He designs everything that looks beautiful on PremierHipHop.com. I just try to make the words sound match the designs, right? But give me one moment, really quick. I just have to go get some materials, really quick. All right. How are we doing? I hope that everyone is as comfortable as I am right now, so that we can build them. You know, there's some things I want to build on, and I want to keep building on this really this situation that we are in, right? This situation of dealing with the coronavirus, this situation of constantly being bombarded with conspiracy theories, right? And a lot of people deal with the conspiracy theories and the problems that come about with that. You know what I mean? I think that P.E.A.C.E. Johnson, he's brilliant elevation. Good to see you. I got to see if brilliant if you left me some questions. I'm not really sure actually. I got a lot of emails the last week though. I didn't anticipate how many emails that I would get from all the students. So I tried to deal with the students that are immediate and are new, and then work my way backwards. So that's why I try to keep a list. I don't know if I was successful in that undertaking that way, but we'll see. You let me know if I have grossly failed on that respect. But again, I just want to say a note. I might have other things to say though, right? But these classes are different now. I think that I want to continue to stream them. I think that I want to continue to be able to answer questions from people out there. We literally are going to be in a new world because a new world is already in existence, right? But it certainly will be challenging once even this virus is quelled, you know, over time, you know? And I think that that's peace. That's peace, Saladin, right? But nice to see the interaction of everybody here. Very peace. The one of the things is that I want you to ask yourselves, what is the usefulness of certain things? Okay, so let's pretend here, because I see some of these memes and they have an entire summative conspiracy of what is going on. So generally, what has gone on is in this summation of these memes is that the coronavirus was manufactured. Once the coronavirus is manufactured, then it is used to actually quell the population, to cause lockdown, to cause strife, and to also vicariously, as one of its vicarious goals, is to also drive down the population, right? And of course, anytime you do that, though, we're the population that, because we're most crowded, an infectious disease would harm us the most, right? Because the poor always live more crowded together, so an infectious disease would be more in line with with stopping them and getting that dealt with. Now, this also is in line though, because I see this in the memes too, with the 5G, right? The 5G technology. And that 5G technology is also supposed to be not only a technology that is supposed to amplify the phones, the new phones coming out, but it's also supposed to be something that is crucial to the embedding of the microchip that is going to go inside you. Okay? Now, the reason I say this though, right? I think people deal with fear far too immediately, and I keep saying this, and they deal with ideas that are not really shown and proven. But and you said, well, how would you know? I'm trying to get his name right before I the name of his books, that is. Right? Let's see. Because it was a very enjoyable book. Okay. Because people want research, they want things like this, and they're not really researching anything. Okay. So they talk about this idea of a chip going in there and the idea that they would implant things in your head. But here's the thing. Michio Kaku, right? He wrote a book. Let's see, because I read some of his books. Yeah. It was called Physics of the Future. Very enjoyable book. Very enjoyable book. Okay. And if anybody wants it, though, I could definitely give it to you. I think it's a great read. Let's put it down here. Okay. Let's put the author down. Okay. Let's tag that in there as well. Yeah, and the only problem, John. Yeah, the only problem, right, Saladin, is that I also think that. I think those. See, we say. Listen to the quote that you just said, right? As I continue here, people think those in the know are being conspiracy theorists. See, here's the problem with even being a 5%er, because a 5%er is defined as someone that knows who the true and living God is. So our duty, our role in life, we are defining ourselves by our role, and we're saying that we actually know our role. See? Hey, self-magnetic. Here's the big problem with that, right? How do you know that you're in the know about these things? Because let me tell you something. The easiest thing to predict is fatalism. The easiest thing to predict, though, is a terrible future. It is easier to predict a terrible future when everything is going terrible. Okay? And what I'm saying is this. I don't want people not to think. I don't want people to question. But see, conspiracy theorists aren't the people that are questioning. They're the people that are stating. They have their own ideas about what will happen, and they've already decided that this is happening, the biochips. And what happens is that they don't have all the research to absolutely, without beyond the shadow of a doubt, show and prove that these biochips or whatever it is, 5G is the end game of this. And now you declare the end game immediately. Here's the thing that I find funny. They have no ability to stop the end game. They have no recourse of how to deal with this type of end game, except what? Disagree. Click like on my post and disagree. You see? So what I'm saying is this, and you are right. We have to do you said we have to do the knowledge to what we do know and not what we think. But here's also the challenging thing. To also arrive at knowledge, we also have to do the knowledge to proposals of what people think and also proposals of what people think that they know. You see, social media only bombards the reality of human interaction. Okay? You know, us again, it's also a slight delusion of grandeur among us 5%ers that we always speak about what we know. And then there wouldn't be a classroom. There wouldn't be a laboratory for self-study. So the thing about it is, I'm talking now about the perspective of how we look at things that are challenging. This is really where I'm getting at. I'm not getting at anyone to denounce things. The reason I put up Michio Kaku's book is because people are talking about the future of inventions as if it's some crazy theory. And here is a scientist, right, that already earlier in the decade wrote a very detailed book about certain inventions that are actually already on the mend. So they already are already inventing technology to embed inside your mind so you can use social media and computers and things without even having to click on to any device. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that because that's a positive thing or a negative thing. Okay? The reason I'm saying that is because people are, with conspiracy theories, are reinventing the wheel. And the only reason it reinvents the wheel is because when you read Michio Kaku's book, you're reading it as far as, wow, this is amazing what science is up to. When you read it as a conspiracy theory meme or a post, it means the end of all days, doom, death, destruction, apocalypse. So it's the perspective, and what gets lost in all of these perspectives, from a positive way of looking at things and a negative way of looking at things, is that no one is looking at the possibilities or the realities of possible futures in the perspective that is proper. The perspective that is proper is this inevitable? What can we do to stop it? And if not, if you cannot answer that, then how do we adjust to it? How do we utilize it to the best of our ability? You see, that's the problem, okay? We could deal with this. This is what we deal with in social media. Peace, infinite mind. This is what we expect to see in social media, right? Who was the 85? So I don't think that I would expect to see anything less but 85% of the population spouting off things, right? But I see, if we're the 5%, then we don't know everything. That's not how knowledge works. We know what knowledge is. The way it works, though, is that we actually take the time to be responsible to give a direction with the information and the proposals. I've always said this. It is very dangerous to make proposals, okay, without any type of direction. And I'm sorry, but the real truth is that if you're saying you're the true and living God, and you go out there making proposals of just like, hey, think, this is biochip, they're trying to put a biochip, you're really doing the same thing. It doesn't matter how intelligible or logical your premise is, okay? Let me say it again. It doesn't matter how logical sounding or feasible the premise of impending doom you, I don't know, I'm writing sarcastically, so articulately, profess. You are the true living God, and for a 5%. This is an irresponsible. You spell irresponsible wrong here. No, I didn't. An irresponsible way of building with the entire entire community. See, we're not talking to just the initiated, though. See, a meme you make among your friends, though, can actually disperse itself outward. You know, a post that you have, though, could be dispersed outwardly, publicly. You know, it doesn't matter even if you put your if you put it privately, if you guard it, someone can copy it, can paste it, they could put it in your name or not in your name. The point is that you traveled an irresponsible thought. The reason I'm saying why is it irresponsible? It's only irresponsible for the 5%. Mind you, I'm saying that. It's irresponsible for the 5%. I'm saying this to the 5%. Okay? Yeah, in terms of teaching from the perspective of fear, yeah, because what I'm trying to say, infinite mind, right? If we, the gods, are going out there and teaching impending doom as a logical thing, they're putting biochips, doing this. I know that you did not just, travel early morning, late night prior, and travel with Miles Dyson and find out the beginnings of the Terminator. You know what I mean? You did not fight that, and how, everything went, and how, cybernetics and everything went, became self-aware. I know that you didn't find that. So when you go out there meaning this, when you go out there posting this, what direction are you giving the people? Because you say, think people, and all you're going to get, all you're drawing up is oh, shit. Oh shit. You do not have to provide solutions solutions for everything, but you do have to provide a directive if you're going to especially speak about an impending doom. Understand this, so we're the 5%. We did not come. Once you learn this now, it's like, for those that hear you're online though, understand that you're not learning it the way that we learned it. And one of the main things that you learn when you learn it is all that anger, all that hatred that you have is not to be equalized back out into the world. Okay? It is not meant to be equalized back to the world. And this is what you're doing. You know what I mean? And Mr. Black Culture there, that's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds like preachers and Islamic jihadists because it's not, it's causing a lot of fear. You know what I mean? It's not pumping up our immune systems that we need to be pumped up now. It's not helping us remember to, when we're outside, to keep social distance, to keep clean, not touch our face, things like that, which are things that are extremely, not the washing hands, y'all shouldn't be forgetting that shit, but sometimes touching your face and stuff like that, these things sometimes are forgettable. Keeping a distance from people sometimes can be forgotten if we're in a rush, and now that we're trying to not stay outside, we could be compromising social distance so we could get back indoors quickly, right? And self-magnetic, that's exactly what I mean. We're adding to the chaos. And I want your assignment to be, okay? Look, the 11th letter in the alphabet is king, right? K, 11th letter. Yeah, absolutely infinite, right? The 11th letter in the alphabet is king. Okay? The king, on, to me, as I see it, one who has knowledge, self-knowledge, spelled knowledge of the people, and can merge that, right, on that into a wisdom, a passion, or or better said, appropriate directive to the people. Okay. And you're right, God. Yeah. About the doom and gloom, you create your own future, write your own history. The reason I'm saying that about King is that I want you to look at all actions like this. What would you say to a populace? If you wouldn't say it as a king ruling the entire populace, you shouldn't be saying that online just wilding out. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much you think that they're going to put biochips and want us to think, the truth is that you haven't figured out anything. The reason I mentioned Michio Kaku's book is because they already talk about that. And it's a totally different system than the biochip that they're talking about. It's totally different. And the book is divided into the future of inventions from real scientists working on this, and he basically separated the inventions by the likelihood by when they would be invented. So first part of the book is inventions that, you know, have more of a probability of being invented in the next 50 years. Next section in the next 100 years, next 500, and then next, you know, very unlikely in the next, you know, century or whatever like that, right? Or just they're in their thought stage and they're not really there, right? If we're going to use social media, are you forgetting the title that you are claiming? Are you forgetting who you say you are? Because we're going out there and we're doing all this crazy shit, and it's I want to know, who is it helping? Who is it really helping? Right? And that's the real problem. You know what I mean? And I'm saying that to some people that I know. I hope that they look at this and not get offended because they're doing that. It doesn't matter if you're right. We have a tendency to be obsessed with being right. It doesn't matter, because years down the line, you won't be able to say, hey, Sunez, yeah, you were wrong about the biochip. I don't give a shit about the biochip. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? The truth is that unless people were dealing with a strict diet that I was speaking about, and that people like Sebi was speaking about, you have tons of GMOs in you already mutating your DNA. So I don't really want to hear about people telling me about biochips and stuff like that, because you could have swallowed a biochip. You could have had a biochip in the damn Snapple, the way most of the people are eating and drinking, right? And composing themselves, right? And the thing is that the fear that we have ends up, we have to use it as a tool. I don't think that any emotion is something that you can just discard. You have to acknowledge it and deal with it. I mean, and the truth is that not everyone, but everyone that's giving out conspiracy theories is also a way of themselves expressing their own fear, but with their chest out. You know? Yeah. You know? The chuleta biochip, you know, and right in there, boom. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't think there's a biochip in some, probably, you know, we get one of these you know, one of these what do they give the kills, the kids? I said the kills, the kids and kills. The what was it? Lunchables. That's Lunchables is evil. You know what I mean? They probably put something in the Lunchables that has to do with a biochip. You know what I mean? Bio Papa Frita, yeah. You know, probably some of these people have shitted out the biochip. You got to put it in again. You know what I mean? But yeah, what I'm saying is, like, be careful what you project. You know what I'm saying? Be careful what you project out there. You know, try to give people directives if you're gonna even use this. You know, if you know, if you're even gonna use the social media to be building like that, you know, is it to our advantage to adopt a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle? Absolutely. I've been teaching that since I started. I got knowledge of self in 1999. I've been a vegan since 1996. I stopped eating dairy in 1993. I stopped eating pork in 1994. I stopped eating all meats in 1996. So then I completed the whole, right? Peace to yourself, right? Yeah, and you know, you reminded me. You said we don't need a chip. We got phone, tablets, and stuff. You know, Victorious. Hope that you missed a lot, or I've just been really boring here. You know what I mean? But a lot of times we have conspiracy theories, and what happens is that we balloon them though, and then what happens is that it also opens up narcissistic feelings. You know, the negative narcissistic feelings could be developed, because then we think that the conspiracy is all about us though. Like, they're trying to stop me, they're trying to do this to me, and then you make it all about you, and then you know what you're dealing with. You know what I mean? It's not about you. You know, if they have chips in everybody, right? If chips are on everybody, then what are you gonna do? Then that means that finding you out of the whole crowd though is just as difficult. You know what I mean? It's just as difficult. You know? But we have to learn to challenge things. We have to learn to research things. We have to learn where to put theories, where to put logic, where to put assumptions, and where to value that, and then what to do as we deal with society. You know what I mean? As we deal with society. Okay? Because for all of this though, look, every single we already know about disaster capitalism. I didn't make that up. Okay? Let me see if I find some of the crucial works about disaster capitalism. Right, okay. The most major book about disaster capitalism is this book. Okay? And you can look that up. There are countless interviews of Noah McClann. I can even give you the book. The reason I'm saying this, why am I bringing out books, is because these books and these authors have been interviewed countless times. Okay? They've been talking about this for countless years. So the problem with conspiracy theories is that there's already been, it deserves more research. We already know there's some type of conspiracy because the nature of the framework of oppression works that way. Once there is some kind of disaster, which very well could have been a disaster before, meaning that if the virus is man-made, maybe they tried to work with it and lost control. That cannot be proven yet. It is really irrelevant to be proven right now, because once the disaster is the effects of disaster capitalism. And again, disaster capitalism trying to benefit off of something after it happens isn't necessarily the measure that the conspiracy prior is true. In other words, all of the devilishment, let's say that Trump is leading with this virus and everything else that would follow afterward, doesn't prove your theory or said theory about the making of a deliberate virus. Remember, you cannot put the two together, though. Not because it doesn't make sense, but because it makes sense but isn't finished proving. Okay? This is the same thing I say when we look at the pyramids and we see the number 7 everywhere in ancient history. It doesn't mean that everybody knew that the black man was God. It means that as a good scientist, as a good scholar, then we look at that most likely they did, and then we research further to see the works, to analyze the works, to analyze whatever it is that these civilizations left behind. Okay? Just going back to read some of these things. I feel like I do know some people in Fort Worth, Texas. I don't know why I feel that way, but maybe I don't know. Okay, but so now, does anybody have any conspiracy theories or anything that's relevant to planet? No. That's a good, interesting thought you just said there. But it's incomplete. I'm not sure where you're coming from. Its irrelevance would imply that there is knowledge not worth knowing. No. What I'm talking about is prioritizing. Okay, prioritizing the knowledge, prioritizing the research, and prioritizing the dispersal, meaning the wisdoming, because today's wisdom, the wisdoming of what you know is not true yet, what you have not figured out, because the only truth is you haven't proven it. Okay. Do I know anything about this QAnon community? I don't know. QAnon. I don't know. Tell me about it. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not up on my latest cults, is it? It seems like every class I got to deal with a cult now, you know? So the internet was supposed to be off. I didn't get that memo. You know? That's right, Kurt. That's right. That's what we do. You know, we help people on our own time. We research mainly conspiracy about it. We could talk to people that might be like-minded that could handle that. But these aren't, I don't think these are public posts. I don't think these are worthy of public posts to be putting out there. And a lot of me finds it very irresponsible. Gregory, see you there, peace. I appreciate, honestly, the length and the detail in the email that you sent me. I really appreciate that. It's an honor that people spend time to tell me where they're from and a little bit about themselves. That I might even be able to help them in some kind of way, right? Oh, a political community of right-wing conspiracy theorists, real pro-Trumpers, right? I mean, what would be the conspiracy with pro-Trumpers, though, right? Because he's been messing everything up, though. So, like, it just looks like he's more, he's consistently messing things up. I don't, you know. I think that but I think we don't want to put too much into the concept of deifying. What we're doing is we deify the oppressor. You know what I mean? That's our way of equalizing it, though. And you know what, too? Is this, I think in my years, I would say anecdotally, not shown and proven to me, but my feeling is, and the people I've encountered, hundreds of students I've taught, we people tend to deify the oppressor to make him this horrible being of great stature because it would continue to justify the hatred that you want to continue to have for the one day the retribution of violence that you could bestow. And that's not what we're about. You know what I mean? That's not what we're about. I mean, look, everyone's shooting at every target. You know what I'm saying? Everybody with ideas is shooting out. Everybody will say something. Because what is the most logical thing right now? Always distrust the government. Always. You know what I'm saying? We have to have a suspension of belief. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that when people are dealing with real situations now, and this is certainly a real situation, you know what I mean? I don't want anybody to have anyone succumb to the coronavirus, but I'm sure many of us, those degrees of separation with people that are succumbing is growing smaller. You know what I mean? And that includes myself. So people that have it and then people that are succumbing to it, these degrees of separation are growing smaller. So do these conspiracies really help? You know? Right? Do these conspiracies really help? Right? And they don't. You know? Okay. Thank you for that, born eternal Lord. Give me a moment. I'm going to go into, let's see if I have something that we can answer in some of these emails. Gregory, if you have any questions, please let me know because you gave me so much. I want to know if there's a specific question. And you can always ask me about questions of things you've researched, things that you saw on YouTube, whatever it is. All of that is fair game. As Infinite Mind, Self-Magnetic, and others know, I've been asked some of the most craziest questions. Okay? Okay. Yeah, some quick notes. Let me see from students. I think I had said it before. It might seem obvious, but this is not a religion. We don't do salat. We don't do any of that stuff. If you're doing it, you're fucking up. Okay, real simple. Let's see what else. There's no way of testing the mindset. Yeah, so am I. So am I, Sean. So am I, Sean. You know, all of these. A lot, and the thing is, sometimes something detrimental. Here's the thing, right? When you lay out a theory, like you say, this is got to be, it makes sense. Well, you took it out as a thought and now made it a fact that you're saying. So now even you don't even notice it, but you're bringing out a belief because you haven't shown and proved that all the way. You know what I mean? Right? So true self, that is a great accomplishment. Are you a newborn? Did you just get the knowledge? because for everyone getting the knowledge, we don't do religious things, but we do engage in a fast. A 3-day fast is very difficult, though, but this is a very difficult reality, a very difficult life, right? To test yourself, to be tough enough to take that grind. And you started with a juice fast. You try to do a juice fast with quality juices, quality teas, more water than juice occasionally to get something, and more natural juice. You don't want to be drinking you definitely don't want to be drinking orange drink is not, grape drink is not what you fast with. So stay away from sugars. You might even want to stay away from natural juices, but that are pasteurized. So like Tropicana 100% orange juice is pasteurized, so it has the more thick taste, and the enzymes have been destroyed, so it's more like it goes in with more sugars, right? Because what you want to do is you want to keep yourself level. Use energy juices to give yourself energy, but not to override, right? What happens when you fast is that you're actually going to become lighter. Things that you take in will be absorbed quicker, right? So that's, if you have too much sugar and everything, especially bad sugars, it'll be a problem, you know what I mean? If you're fasting. But, salute to you. Oh, just capped the 1 to 36. Very good. If again, for anyone in the classroom, whether you're my direct student or not, or just watching to learn and you want to email a question or for, some materials, email me, because I have some things that might be useful to you yourself. Okay. And the thing, stuff like that, most people are intelligent, so they'll say stuff that's intelligent. And I'm saying, you're not winning a prize with me if you talk about distrust of the government, or the government is trying to do some slick shit. That's not very impressive. I'm very unimpressed by that. Okay. Now let me take a moment here. I want to copy and paste the notes here. That way I can put them all together in the video summary. Okay. I said some things here. I'm going to get to people's questions, but as far as being a 5%er, we engage in some things that we learn. We study 120 lessons, we memorize them, we learn what they mean. But this is nowhere near religion. There is no praying. Don't give me that praying shit. Also, this is what I was thinking about, because it was in a build or in an email I got from a newborn, right? And the way that he was speaking about himself, which I found it could be problematic, though, the way he was speaking, because when you say that you're the true and living God, I also don't want, don't get nuts, though, and start talking about yourself in the third person either, and also talk about things in such a way where everything that you do now must be 100% right and exact, and there could be no mistakes, for you're the true and living God, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So put it this way, for newborns, which means new students, don't deify, the concept of you being God. So what would happen is, like, the way you believed in the mystery God, it's the same way. You're just doing it now. It's you. So everything you attributed to the mystery God is now just you. And those, you got to understand that all of those perceptions were always incorrect and illogical. Okay? So the idea that you'll never make an error, the idea that anything you're doing wrong, though, is completely not right and exact, that also helps worsens you as a student. As a student, okay, as a student, you need to practice being aware and in the moment of every small mistake you may engage in. Because what happened is that you deify yourself so much, and then now you're in some kind of mistake. You're literally looking at yourself as, you know, and you're not being in that moment, because the way you define God as you, he wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? And so you've made a mystery God of your own self. You know, and where would you go? You know what I'm saying? Right? And by the way, this, if I could psychoanalyze for a minute, this is probably why Muslim goddery makes sense to people, because they have deified God so much that even if they say that they're the true and living God, when they make a mistake, they can't be in the moment and say, yo, this is the actual lesson. This is the actual process of living perfection, something that is always ever developing, not done perfect. Okay? Living perfection, right? As I always define, constant, this is my definition. I'm going to give you even the history of this definition. Okay? I know there's no constant elevation at an ever increasing rate. Not perfect. Something perceptively, I won't be able to spell that until tomorrow. Right? Perceptively defined as no longer living, but done. Okay? So perfection is different than perfect. Okay? We are in perfection. We are not perfect. Okay? Perfect is applied to a thing that is already finished. Okay? The true living God has no beginning or ending, so how could he be perfect? Okay? That is applied to the things that we make. Okay? When there is a finality of things. And I think if I were to psychoanalyze, you know, when you start that Muslim goddery, every time that you are in a mistake, each mistake is really a lesson in the natural course of perfection, because that ever increasing rate I'm speaking of is not linear, right? It's not a line, right? It's not a line. It doesn't go straight, like, you know, it just goes up, 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 up forever and ever. It is not linear, but circular, right? In a cycle, right? In a continuous, ever revolving, and the key word here, deepening cycle, right? Son of man, example, right? I.e., example, son of man. Okay, I've explained this many times. Many of my students know this build. Okay, son of man means God, right? Means God, creator, right? But literally is the child, right, of that man. So God is the child of the man. Okay? Etymology, right? Man is mind. Okay? Of here means multiplication, means multiply, right? Okay? Can't find that. There we go. And son, right? Or son is literally referring to rebirth. So the Son of Man is the rebirth of the mind. So God is the Son of Man. God is the Son of Man. The man will have a son. But then when the son is a man, then he has a son. It's a revolving statement. It never ends. This is what I mean by perfection. It has no beginning, no ending. So it is constantly in a cipher. Okay? I'm going to take a moment with that. I want people to absorb that. Go back in the notes and do the knowledge. If you have a question, so hit them with the heavy. You know what I mean? And let me tell you something. These builds are all copywritten. I don't want to see one of these 10% bloodsuckers with funny hats and, you know what I'm saying? And cash apps out, you know, putting the cash app hand out. You know what I mean? Trying to build on this, you know? Making no damn sense with it. But the bloodsucker. Does that make sense? Everybody got that? Usually in my classroom, I say something like that. I'll take a pause. You know what I mean? Right? Think about the digital classroom years. I have no opportunity to take a pause. Right? Because then you guys would get boring and numbers would diminish. You guys would click dislike on video and my whole life would be shattered. But, yeah, and by the way, let me see here. Yeah, Joseph said, I don't understand the Muslim God stuff. You don't have to. You know, what's wrong? You don't have to understand wrong stuff. But the reason I was bringing that up is because if we deify, or we take the same deification that we have for a mystery God, and then now say, well, that's me. You are not that super cosmic thing that you thought was out there. We didn't just reapply it. Okay? That I see that too. The frequency, the rate, same thing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Appreciate that, Adam. You know? And when the Muslim God says that he also prays, or he also sees he's a little G and a big G, it means though that every time he lives out some mistake, he's not seeing this as the perfect fodder, the perfect moment for a lesson. He's seeing this as a perfect moment to see that someone else is beyond him. So what's the waste of all that? What is the waste of all that? Go be a Christian and, be with the populace, though. You know what I mean? Like, don't be an exclusive mystery God, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, go where the money is, though. Go get some, go get some of that Christian 10% money. No? There's not even that much good money in the Muslim God 10%. No? But when I started teaching some history, because some people don't know the history of this classroom, this classroom was founded, or named, I should say. We both founded it, but it was really named by great son. He named it education, civilization. I'm going around that way to build on how my definition of perfection. Political education, and I can do that because we have like 3 hours here, right? Political education and civilization enrichment. This is what he came with. And because we were writers, right? We were writers, I had started to add like a core would be, as those people who got the curriculum was based on reading, writing, and communication skills as our main tools to learn of this knowledge of self, right? Knowledge of self, right? Okay, just throwing some notes here. The way I have them, we can do them quickly. Okay. Now, when we started to do the class, understand that some people that were ignorant doubted, my authenticity, right? In many circles, I could be original, but a lesser original, with some black, but not of black. You know what I mean? And some of that ignorance was stuff that I willingly destroyed. And in a lot of my early class years, I taught a lot about melanin. Okay, because melanin is the biochemical compound. What is Jewel Pookrum call it? Biological living light that is within the cell, the thinking part of the cell, right? I'm saying put that here, Jewel Pookrum. Which goes melanin. And I did a lot of classes to show, a lot of science to show, whether it was Jewel Pookrum, T. Owens Moore, right? All of this work about melanin to show and prove that the black, brown, and the yellow are all original supremely. Okay? And that within each of the seeds is the other seed, just as Allah the Father taught us. Okay? And that people weren't really looking at it scientifically to supplement the truths and the things that Allah the Father had shown and proven. Okay? Yeah. Right? The book I mentioned, T. Owens Moore. Let's see if I get the name of that book exactly. T. Owens Moore. Okay. Okay, here's the book. Let me get the title. Okay, there's the book I was talking about. That's like the best book to begin with, and then go backwards, or go beyond, however, whatever direction you want to take. But yeah, the reason I say that is because another aspect of also teaching about how we are all original, right? Even showing and proving it beyond the lessons, right? Is also in the concept of one day, and I put this full circle, you see why I'm saying all this history, is there was one day before I started to actually teach, or I had started, I'm not really sure, but it was just in the beginning, if anything. And I was still trying to decide, like, what would I teach? Because at that time, a lot of the elders still had classes. My own teacher, Enlightener, who gave me 120 with his own class, through his own classroom and personal time, Knowledge Me Allah, right? I was taught by Knowledge Me Allah. Right? And I was taught how to teach this course, right? By Savior Knowledge in it. Peace, Raja. Peace, Adya. And that's right. Thank you for that. So Magnetic finished that off for me. Thank you for that. Right? There's so many things I want to say. I didn't finish that. But when I started to teach, I was thinking, how can I add on something unique? Like where it would be worthwhile. People, a lot of the gods, they were even diminishing what we were teaching to make us unique by saying that we were just teaching a writing class, and I didn't, that's peace. And I didn't think anything of it. But I wanted to be unique, just as I was taught, to have my own self-styled wisdom and my own unique, special understanding that would be worthwhile. So what happened was, it was a Saturday, and I was in the classroom in a law school in Mecca, and just hanging out. It wasn't a class. We were just hanging out. I was sitting near the front, and a lot of older brothers was kicking it. And they were talking about the Father, and they had said, I don't know who said it, though, so I'm not even leaving their names out to save them from their own not right in exactness, but they said that I am not perfect. I am Allah was perfect. We're his sons, and we're not perfect. And I immediately realized that what I learned from Knowledge Me, what I learned from Firstborn Prince, what I learned from Saving Knowledge, Infinite Al-Jamar, Dumar, Wadi, everybody that I was building with, that was 100% not right and exact, But for a lot of people that don't know me and the way I move, I save my talking for when I'm building and teaching others. When I'm around people that are older than me, I do the knowledge more. You know what I mean? Even if I could hold my own. Unless they're saying something wildly outlandish, though. But this was getting close. But I left it and I thought about it because I was still thinking about how I would teach. And I realized that what he said was not right and exact because it didn't go what the father was saying. The father never would say, if he was there at that moment, would never say, yeah, I'm perfect and you're my sons, but you're not perfect. He told us that the babies are the best part. So if anyone was greater, it would be the babies. And that if we already were truly defining ourselves because we saw in our lives that we just weren't, that we weren't perfect or we weren't as great as he, then to me, that would be a failure. Okay, that would be a failure of the perception. A failure, an acknowledgement of failure in our duty and our reality of life, what we've been building. You know what I mean? So this is why I started to think about perfection, because I realized that the word perfect wouldn't be a proper word, it wouldn't be technically correct, and that's where I came with the perfection concept. I said it always had to be living, so it's constant elevation. So because mathematics always adds up higher, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and it's always not it's always adding on a cipher. Then I realized that it's constant elevation. But then I also realized that the rate also has to continue. But the rate cannot continue just ever increasing only, but the ever increasing rate has to be done in a circular cipher. A cipher of deepening, because the universe then would be expanding into something else, right? So that expansion has to be mentally where it grows deeper. And it went with the example I gave of the Son of Man, because a child does not know and is not developed as the parents, and yet it surpasses them. So in that cipher, it goes back to go forward. And that is what I mean by the depth of things. By learning the best part of another person's entire life, it allows one to actually speed up, even while it seems to be going backwards. Okay, so that's what I mean by that, you know. And the reason I'm saying this, as a side note, is a trivia note, because it's April, and this is really an April I didn't foresee like this, but every first class in April marks another year of me teaching. So this officially is me teaching this course for 20 years, you know, officially. You know, so that is a definition that I've been teaching and expanding on and studying myself for 20 years. You know, I hope it's useful to articulate and understand and insight into what our mentality is as we learn. Right? Does anybody have any questions about anything before we go into some other subject or anything else? Okay. Let's look at what we can build on. See if I have any questions. All right, looks pretty good. Okay, I have another question here. It's very long. I'm gonna not go into that. I want to go. Let me see. I talked about the dietary law and stuff. Is there? How does one articulate consciousness? Self, is that your answer to Dada's question? Maintaining. Okay, maintaining. And yeah, you know, what is consciousness? To be aware. You know what I mean? So we are always self-aware. Nothing really is until we acknowledge it. You know, that's the whole premise of even other people's books, you know. That was a rhetorical question, though. Yeah, I take every rhetorical question as real. But consciousness to me would just be an awareness. And the truth is, the awareness of self isn't supposed to be done. And that's, I think, one of the main things that I'm always trying to get across to students is that once you're aware that you are truly living God, you're just aware of a basic, very rudimentary fact. Just because the world doesn't deal with it doesn't mean that you haven't just encountered a very rudimentary fact, and embrace the rudimentary fact that everything around you is really up to you and you're causing everything, and that nothing really exists around you unless you are aware of it, okay? And that you are subject to all the things that are impacting you, okay? Because at all times you are drawing up something, There is a combination of us being together and apart. So the realities that we face are also a consequence of all of this mind, Son of Man, all of these minds that added on to what we have become. Okay, so it's a macro reality and also a micro reality. So when people start thinking about the mystery, it's because they're not putting that together very well. That Allah is the self, but it is also the original man. The original man. All of these throughout, beyond just not space only, but also time. Okay, so a consciousness is literally the ability to continue to be aware and supremely functional in that awareness of such. Okay. That's peace. Yeah, my head is mad big on TV, right? But definitely power born. That's peace. Good to have you in the book. Again, let me go back to my notes here. Okay. I don't think in the last time I gave any type of particular homework to individuals. I am still trying to gauge that, like how I would give particular things to individuals, and it would be individualistic. I do like to know what are the things that you have been researching, what are the things that you've been studying. It really helps me throw some ideas out there. Last week, if there's anyone new here, last week I did go into, that's a good concept. I'm going to expound on that a little bit. Perfection, maintaining and while elevating. I'll tell you some pros and cons of that concept, what you just said there. But if there are any new people that have never been on this and want to know certain things and engage in the classroom, let me know. You can, obviously you have the choice to learn quietly, silently, or you can engage. So just let me know as I go along. Again, I gave out the email, the curriculum notes. If there are any things from last week or anything that you didn't understand, and again, I'm going to keep reminding everybody, our triangle of power. This is my triangle of power. I see it as everyone's is how you read, how you write, how you train. In no really particular order. And I mean train that what I mean is your body and your gifts. Whatever gifts there are, And don't ruin this whole definition by saying your gift is pimping, because then you ruin my definition. But we know what I mean by gifts is wholesome, loving, peaceful gifts. You know what I mean? Right? But how are you developing that triangle? And I say triangle because I'm thinking of Wing Chun and that triangle of power that develops as you strike out. If you study your Wing Chun and your martial arts, right? That's why I came up with that. But during your homework always is during this past week, how did you engage in this changing reality? One thing is for sure. You cannot survive it. You are consciously now thinking of a schedule. See, before, you may have lived without making a schedule. You could have gone to work, and then, if you do it, you do it. You don't, you don't. The next day is going to repeat itself, and the funds to survive are going to be there as long as you go to work. Everything to train the body, to read, to write are all things that could be passed along. They won't engage your survival or nothing like that. Here's the thing. I do not consider you the true and living God, the true and living earth, if your daily lifestyle is not including some of that triangle of power as just a personal thing. We cannot change the world if we do not have a lifestyle that actually is cultured. You cannot say that you're the true and living God and your life is actually not designed to be cultured. Okay? I'm trying to read these things. That's a good thing to work on, self-magnetic. You know what I mean? And now with everything, schedules thrown off, work and everything, money even more uncertain than before for all of us, right? Me being in the freelance world, it always was uncertain for years, you know. But and Kurt, your question, you said a guy from Patterson, that's Patterson, New Jersey, I met maybe 10 years ago. I think his name is King Civilized Allah. Told me this knowledge. I think he was referring to the lesson could either make or break me. I don't know what you're referring to, though. Is there another post? I don't know what I think of that because I don't know what it is. Like, told me this knowledge, and then I don't know what is this knowledge. Like, I don't. Give me more on that. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that now that everything is on literally a reset button, and even if you have a job, like let's say you're even working hard and you're one of the essential workers and stuff, you still have to figure out how you will schedule things, even more importantly, because you're on the front lines fighting something that could destroy you or be carried and destroy others. So everyone is designing new schedules. Everyone is thinking of things differently. Okay? And these are the things that you have to think about. We have to make a schedule of how we'll build, how we will train, right? What we will train, for what reason, okay? Because if it doesn't have a reason, then it won't be useful, and then you won't do it. What will we read? You know? What is the purpose of reading? And before we get to read those things that we don't like to read, which usually are the things that we need to read, right? Because I don't see anybody saying, I can't wait, it's so much fun to read the Diop books, you know? He's so exciting. You know, we get excited to know what he's talking about and know what he knows and what he's sharing. But they're not like the most engaging reads. They're very difficult reads, actually. Right? Let's see. Okay. Now, let's see. Okay. Definitely. You know, one of the things that we all need to be working on is developing talents that also will give us other streams of income, you know? So monetizing your work, your talents, you know what I mean? You know, this is important, you know? Yeah, absolutely, man. Peace of God, aka Chad Smith. You know, yeah, those are things that got deaded pretty quick. You know what I mean? And now, when this whole thing is over, the world that we go out to is going to be totally new. Most of these businesses are going to be out of business. The way people engage in businesses might not be so easy to go back into. That's a good idea. You know what I mean? That's right. Yeah, I know that. You know, Sam Seed. You know, but I'm hoping that you holding up, God. You know what I mean? Because all of this stuff has been difficult. You know what I'm saying? And you know, for myself, it's difficult just because I don't. You know, we're all self-quarantining, and now I'm not even able to see my children for probably what it is, like a month, maybe even longer. So this is very difficult, you know. But Kurt, what is it that he told you about the culture, the lifestyle? Like, what is it? Because you're giving me incomplete sentences, so I don't really know. I'm a little confused. Okay. Well, what about everything encompassing the nation? Like, what about the nation? You know? I think now is like when you give me a complete sentence so I can get it all. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah, also too, by the way, I've read a lot of books and I talk about it, a lot of books about rest, a lot of books about sleep. You know what I mean? Yeah, capitalism is certainly striving to save itself, a system of blood sucking and oppression, But the okay, yeah, no, if you get more, I can't really comment on somebody saying something incomplete to Right? Maybe you didn't get it all. That's why. But we have to make some kind of thing. Like I said, I've been trying to do a lot these last probably 5 years, working freelance, really hustling, and really I've become a hustler in many ways. Hardly making the money I tried to. Um, Never really making all the strides that I want to, and the only thing at the end of the day I always have though is the integrity in the fields I'm in. But what we don't always recognize though is that there isn't, even when you're not working, you're going to realize that there really isn't that much time in a day, even if you're not working for anyone else, because worry about getting some kind of money will take up a chunk of that day. Engaging in activities to try to deal with certain things will engage in that way. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what, it's not I kind of don't see the point. I don't see this as everyone having a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? A lot of time on their hands, because there's actually now more to do with all this time. More that needs to be done, more that has to be done. Because not everybody's in some kind of play to be self-sufficient, And for most of us, we don't have, and if we did have professions that were useful, these professions are also challenging. The guy you said you're a chef, people might not be so inclined to go eat like they used to outside as they once did. You know what I mean? So these are things that hamper how we would go out and make money. Yeah, and definitely spending time with the kids is something that is a blessing. If you're able to, if you're there and you're quarantining with your children, that's a beautiful thing. And yeah, it's always a battle between old families, new families, old money, new money. I think a little bit differently. And I'll give you an example. It's not necessarily old families versus new money. That's always a battle because it's always generational. But what we forget, what we're maybe not looking at, is it's always a battle of how things should be run. When you look at the world wars, World War I, World War II, it's really battles of how things should be engaged. How you oppress, how do you engage the system that you are oppressing with, what type of system, but also how you engage in that system. So recently this week I saw that Bill Gates was there criticizing the government and that he was ahead of the curve and knowing that they couldn't handle the virus. But why? Because his way of blood sucking was basically in the agribusiness, and his population control measures were much more controlled than, let's say, a virus would be. You know what I mean? So when we look at it, things like that, what we're looking at though, when we're going to see in the concepts of disaster capitalism as we go along in the days to come, in the weeks to come, is we're going to see a lot of viewpoints warring to see what is the right way to go with stuff. And be careful that you don't apply everyone's thoughts into every oppressor's thoughts into one umbrella. Oppressors don't agree with each other either. Okay? Yeah, you just you just said that right when I was saying that. You know what I mean? They definitely don't agree, and that's why we have world wars. You know what I'm saying? And Bill Gates is a good example of of that. You know? Yeah, we're kind of it's showing how our people are really literally the victim of the wrong foods, literally the wrong foods physically, because they're not equipped to even deal with this at all. You know what I'm saying? They're not equipped to deal with this at all, and their immune systems are shot, and they really don't have one. You know what I mean? And the idea of fear, Fear is something that you'll always have. It's always a way of checkpoint. You know, the greatest fighters have fear because it's basically a system of bodily awareness. How are you using that? You know what I'm saying? How are you manifesting that? You know, how do you develop it? These are the things that are key and what we should be dealing with. You know what I mean? So that's what I you know what I mean though by dealing with these lessons and you know. But that triangle of power is something that we have to constantly develop, right? How are we reading? What are we reading? What are we doing a knowledge to? What are we what are we writing? How are we communicating? How are we developing our communication? And you know, how are we training our bodies? You know what I mean? What are the talents that we have and how are we training them? In this case right now, the talents that we have, how are we figuring out some kind of way to monetize them? You know what I'm saying? How can we monetize? You know? Right? So now, like, if you get a food trucks, if you have that food truck book, you also have to add something the food truck book probably doesn't have. Is like, how do you get the confidence of the people that what you were going to serve them though isn't going to be something that could get them sick? You know what I mean? It's going to be something that they can trust you because now people are going to think, and it's sad, but that this is the way it has to come to get to this point. But to me, every meal is life and death. I think about every meal as what is going inside me, what is the quality of it, and if it is just for enjoyment, which you know we all eat for enjoyment. Yes, you know, Sunez does occasionally eat some ice cream, you know, some vegan ice cream or something like that, you know. Um, so how is your body going to deal with that? What are going to be the effects with whatever you eat? You know what I mean? The stratagems of you take into your mindset when you're eating. All of these things. Now everything is important. Now we're overtly concerned with what is being consumed within us. This is something that wasn't the case. And it's usually when the devil's civilization starts to fall that we start to see that. And if you want like a pre-exhibition of what it looks like something falling, this would be it. You know? Because whatever we go back to is not what we had left. You know? Okay, Pablo, I see that. I definitely see that. Where's my cursor here? I definitely see what you mean there. See, the thing is, though, in that in situations of this, we tend to look. The focus of knowledge itself is always on you, and when drama like this happens, we're more focused on what the devil is doing. We need to be proactive on what we're doing for ourselves. You know what I mean? Right? Let me say that. Now, when you say the 37 degree, what are you quoting? Where is the rich and slave makers in that degree? Right? What degree are you quoting? Well, Pablo, put everything into detail. When you say you're liquid fasting to make sure I'm not in the target group for the virus, how would liquid fasting may take you out of that target group? How would that work like that? You know? I mean, you could bolster your immune system, but no one's really not in the target group. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, though, is that you're in the target group for either getting it or being a carrier. Because the way they describe this is that it's like pollen, you know, or like bees and pollen. You know, we can have nothing. We could fight it off and not have a problem with it, but we could be carrying it. You know what I'm saying? Right? Okay, I was just reading some more notes to see if there were questions from others. More like statements that I was getting, right? Yeah, I understand though that with the virus though, like everyone is in the target group. There is no real target group because if the elderly are the target group that could be most affected, then we're the carriers that would bring it to them. The most healthiest people would be the easiest carriers. Right? Well, when you put it like that, though, right, your adipose tissue, then I would say that yes, that um, the yeah, Pablo, yeah, you wrote the wrong degree there. The 37th degree would be the 15th degree. The 37th degree only answers who God is. So one of the more beautiful degrees. Right? Allah is God in the earth and heaven above, and it's just truth, for there is no righteousness. But he is not seen, but he is not unseen. He is seen and heard everywhere, for he is the all I see. Right? That's the 37th degree. But so I'm trying to figure out, like, you know. All right, let's get into something else. That way I can, since I'm not getting any questions or anything like that. Question to people that had it last week. How did people practice what I had? You go refer to the last class. I won't always do that though, like refer you to last class or things like that. I teach it all over again, if need be. It's no problem. But it's all good, Pablo. It's been a tough week. But if how has everyone worked on their complete breath? Because even you, Pablo, one of the problems is that you want to get back to training and stuff. So you want to mix in muscle building with HIIT training. You know what I'm saying? So so when you're doing that and you're mixing in the exercise in that fashion, what did I have the notes here? You definitely want to practice also your breathing, because the more powerful you breathe, as the complete breath that I taught last week, the more powerful you breathe, the more quality by which you breathe, the more that you'll be able to actually, that's right, filling up the cup, the more that you make that actual muscle stronger. I want all of you to continue to think about your lung like a muscle, not some random organ that's just going to be attacked. It is not like other organs in the body. You know what I'm saying? You could, out of all the major organs, like the heart and everything like this, the lung is the major organ that you actually have direct control over. You know what I mean? So that means because you have direct control over it, just like your arms, you can actually actively use it. You know what I mean? Use it, strengthen it, build it. You know what I'm saying? Right? And see, Pablo, and that's good. I want you to constantly do the complete breath has to be done at all times. Every time you remember as you're practicing, right, is practicing how to breathe like that, Yeah, and in the video that I had shared on the social media yesterday, that was, I'll probably put that on the YouTube just to throw that. I had some other training videos too that I took but that was with those weapons. But those are butterfly swords. They're not iron, but they're butterfly swords, definitely. Yeah. That wasn't in any. That, I don't know. Remember that being in any Supreme Understandings books, but I remember the gods I was building, training. that were building with me when we started to learn Kung Fu, Knowledge Eternal, Ken He, they were the first ones to have that book, you know, and to teach about the complete breath, you know. Those books by Yogi Ramacharaka, right, who wasn't really a yogi, that was really William Walker Atkinson, but when he wrote certain books that were more in line with exactly what the yogi taught him, he was able to use his name. Right? Yeah, Rama. Okay. Science. I'm looking for public domain. No. You're doing different breathing exercises if you're like holding it for 7 and things like that. You want to develop a pendulum, so you're filling up, releasing like a pendulum, in through the nose only, out through the nose or the mouth. Okay, but you don't have to hold it. You do not hold the breath. You learn the pendulum swing, okay? In and out. Okay. Yeah. But that was on the last video, you know. So I don't have the time to timestamp the video. You know what I'm saying? But it's in there if you fast forward through it. It usually be later because the notes about it are later, so it'll be that. But I don't have the time to timestamp the video like that. You know? But if you email me, I'll give you the complete breath. I mean, the science of breath, and it has that breath in it. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah, we don't hold it in though. You don't want to do that. Okay? Because that turns into a different breath. Because certain breaths holding it in are like for like chi collection and dispersal, and you'll see those type of exercises in that book as well. But the complete breath is the beginning breath that you start with, and it's the foundation. If you don't master that, then it doesn't matter about the other ones. Okay? No one is going to deep breathe it all the time. You know what I'm saying? You're going to take in, but because you're learning now, I ask you to do it as many times as you can remember, usually in your leisure. Because we have so much time for leisure, you could spend time in that, you know, in a meditative state, sitting down, relaxing, and you can practice that breath. Or when you lie down, you can practice lying down, right? Yeah, it wouldn't be practical to try to deep breathe all the time. You know what I'm saying? Um, Even the skill as a martial art, if you learn how to use your complete lung, then every breath, the short breath, the longer breath, the quick breath, all of them will be more enhanced. Okay? Very interesting, boy, Tom. Very interesting. You know? And we can all do some type of hydrothermal therapy by just drinking more. You know, now that we're home more, we can actually drink and plot down. The simple way, everybody tries to drink certain amounts of gallons, but if you really, if you really try to drink, you bring a set amount. You know what I'm saying? But you always make your test is how clear is your urine. That's your test. You know what I mean? But you try to drink, you know, a certain amount of glasses and stuff. I don't say because everybody's of different heights and stuff. People always say a gallon and stuff. You know, at my height though, that's ridiculous. Like I've done it for a long time, but it's not as useful as when I drink the proper amount of water. You know, so take a break to drink something. As I said that. Okay, so hopefully, hopefully she's okay and you got the seeds okay and everything. Powerborn, you know. It's very similar to cleansing breaths, but depending on the cleansing breath you're talking about, a lot of cleansing breaths shoot out the the carbon dioxide. And one of the reasons that you've strengthened the lung is because you want that transfer. There's a word for it, but I'm forgetting. When you take in the oxygen, you want to be able to release completely, nearly all carbon dioxide. It means your body's, your lungs and your body is able to utilize all of that. There's a word for it. I am forgetting. But when we breathe minimally and we don't have a good strong lung, most of that is just coming back out as oxygen, and that's why people are weak as well. They breathe in oxygen, it comes out mostly still as oxygen, so they're not really, their lungs are not strong enough to actually utilize all that. You know what I mean? Right. What you want to do is also, powerborn is like, when it comes to the science of, let's talk about that for a minute, because that's a big part of the classroom. I do give a protocol, a diet protocol, and all those things. Yeah, self. I real quick about water. Some people get around about alkaline water and all this kind of water and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to get water. I just want you to drink fucking water. You know what I mean? Because we talk about the right water with minerals and things like that, and then this bottled water is no good. It's got to be alkaline. How do you make the water alkaline? All these kind of things. How do you make it alkaline but then take out the impurities? All this kind of. This could be very taxing. I always want people to drink water first and then work on that later. So what's most important is that you're drinking your water. You know what I mean? And getting the water in. Because it'll still do you good, right? Yeah, Fresh Valley Stream. Yeah, because it's right outside in the hood, right? The Bronx has many Fresh Valley Streams. Okay. No, true self. You don't do that on the exhale unless you're doing a different type of breath. You know what I mean? Because those are energy breaths, so you're going to get a head rush. The complete breath is really a calm, relaxed breath as you learn it. Okay? It's a beginner's breath. It's the breath that you should most likely do because we want ourselves to practice it a lot because we want to be able to naturally breathe where our natural breath is usually taking in a lot of air and using most of our lung. When you strain and you force out on the exhale, those are usually more, associated with different types of exercises and qigong and stuff. And if you're not really studying that very, very in-depthly and carefully, you could give yourself headaches, stomach aches, all types of stuff. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't recommend doing that if you haven't even, if one hasn't really practiced that, and you certainly wouldn't do that as a regular thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, certainly, self. A lot of waters are definitely a waste. You know what I mean? Right? It does help though. Having a green juice. I think my favorite brand that has great quality ingredients is the Amazing Grass Company. I would start there, but you just want to get the kids to have some kind of filtered water. Definitely not tap water, but some type of filtered water. Even if it's the basic breeder filter you get. You start with something, right? But it's the amounts of water that'll get you. Yeah, it is a meditative breath, but it's also a breathing style that should be the way that we normally breathe. You see what I'm saying? It should be the way that we breathe. Well, listen, Powerborn. There's a lot of good music out there. There's a lot of good hip hop out there. Right? That's all I write about. That's a major aspect of my work. Get yourself something that pumps you up, gets you angry, and gets you in there. You know what I'm saying? And go attack that body like you're angry at it. Go destroy that fat. You know what I'm saying? Get a HIIT program. And what you could do is this, right? Whenever you have difficulty working out every day, you don't work out every day. Okay? In these times, because we're very sedentary, we're not going anywhere. I would shoot for 5 to 6, not that 3, 4 stuff. Right, like Stickman. That's a good example. You know what I mean? Right, rock his joint. It's specifically for a workout, right? And it's pretty tough too. But And I haven't even heard all the new one yet. But I'll answer that in a little bit. Yeah, that's a good question. When it comes to the workout, this is what I'm trying to tell Power Born. And when you work out and stuff, a lot of us aren't at where we're at athletically. If you see me using swords and seeing all this stuff like that, trust me, the athletes that I'm building with and the ones that, you know, that I see, they're like amazing. And if I'm doing this, trust me, I'm looking at guys that are jumping off walls and doing incredible stuff. So there's always a level, you know, there's always a level of excellence that we're looking at, you know. Um, yeah, so we're talking about the exercise. I get back to the breath and the question that Johnson had, you know. Um, Saladin, is it right? C. Johnson? I'm forgetting. I'm trying to scroll back to the top. Yes. Yeah, Saladin. But I get all to, yeah. Definitely. When you work out, right? Let's say you pick your 5-6 days, Pablo, and what you do is this: study different training routines. You're mixing in basically these things. You're mixing in three things to me, the way I think. The two main things are the muscle building and then the HIIT training. Okay? That's your muscle building and your cardio, really. And then you want to do something that, you know, could spot your abs, specifically for your abs, right? Strengthen them, make the muscle stronger. Okay? So, whenever you have difficulty training or working out, what you do is you study more and you make that workout more harder and shorter. Okay? Make it harder and shorter. Make the workout. Your workout should always be developing to be as short and intense as possible. Okay? This will allow you to repeat it every day and also let you recuperate. It'll be more intense and you'll feel more sore, but it'll be more useful. And you can go into that intensity because it'll be like, okay, this is only going to be an intense half hour, you know? What I mean by HIIT training, and I explained it last week, the HIIT training, you do your muscle training first. You don't do your HIIT training first. You do your muscle training first. Because now that we're all alone and we have time on our hands, we could do complete body workouts, full body workouts, right? Because we're not in no gym. We don't have the chance to do like serious heavy weights. So all that splits, you know, upper body, lower body, that's for when you do really, really heavy weights and you need to rest days more. But because you're doing full body workouts that for a lot of us are just going to be lots of calisthenics, you could do them daily, okay? So you want to do push-ups, but don't do your push-ups for speed. I even did the challenge, the 50 clip and stuff, but all that stuff, that's not how you do your push-ups. You do your push-ups, though, slow and all the way down, all the way up. Touch your chest on the floor, go all the way up, and lock nice and slow. Flex that tricep. You know, flex the tricep all the way. You do them all the way, and you spend your time doing that. Okay? That's right. You got to do it that way. And you go for intensity on each time. Okay? The intensity of the workout. The short and intense is how you go. And you can always, when you get more excited by it, when you're more into it, you can add things more. You know, you can add things as you go along, you know. And yeah, power born, yeah, that's right. You know, the time under tension method. You know, that's really what builds up, you know. Right? Do your push-ups more completely, more slowly, all that stuff. And if you have some home weights, like, you know, I've always had stuff at home. So even though where I live now is a little bit smaller than the usual home gyms I've been able to create for myself and has less of the capabilities, I have more outside space. So I'm able to do different things. And you find a way, you know, and you could always order things. You know, people say that, you know, I don't have weights and things like that, but dumbbells, if you look, they're usually about $1 a pound. So 2 dumbbells, 30 pounds will cost you in the $60 range. So let's see, 30, right? 30-pound dumbbells, right? They're usually going to cost you Let's see how much these cost. I'm trying to find some, but if you go online and you find some cheap ones, some good dumbbells, you can find them for, you know, cheap. And so it's definitely worth the money to save up for 30 pounders and just get your workout with that. You know what I mean? Right. Current, that's exactly what I mean. You know what I mean? 45-minute workout, 35-minute run. And that's a long time. You know what I'm saying? That's a long time because you can even shorten that even more, you know, if you're having difficulty doing it all the time, you know, having that consistency. The consistency is the key. And in that consistency, the intensity is the key, you know, so that's what you want to do, you know. If you can't afford to like pitch in and get like a good pair of dumbbells sent to you, right? Pitch in and get the immediate device for muscle building. Definitely get yourself, if you have can hoist up a pull-up bar. But what you also do is even more so get, you know, order some resistance bands. Order some resistance bands and you have yourself a way to actually get the push and pull of weights. Okay? And that along with a calisthenics workout is going to be really great. You know what I mean? Right, let me get back here. You guys are writing some good stuff here. That's really good, Sean. That's real good. Well, you're going to have to start training with Justice, right? Yeah, I do use kettlebells. You know what I mean? Kettlebells are like the same. It's just that you do different things with them. You know what I'm saying? I have the opportunity to have weights and, you know, and resistance bands and obviously calisthenics. I always combine all three. You know what I mean? But if you don't have, you always are going to have the ability to do calisthenics. You know, you should always do calisthenics. You know, you should always have awareness and control of your body. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, never stop with that. Yeah, well, if you got that room though, you got to use it. You know what I'm saying? You got to use it. You know, and if you need to do HIIT training and you can, that's where you just quickly get a jump rope. That's the best way in a small limited space, right? But in a limited space, you can also do burpees and things like that. You know what I mean? Right? And incorporate the calisthenics in that, because remember, if you're doing calisthenics fast, you've turned that into HIIT training. It's not really going to be muscle building so much. Okay, so your muscle building, your calisthenics for muscle building has to be slow and you have to make it intense by slow speeds, right? Yeah, I don't have too many problems with yoga. I do have a problem with Bikram yoga. I think Bikram yoga is the problem. I don't think it's natural to be in that room sweating that much. It's not what the original people intended when they devised yoga. Its founder was a charlatan. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, high knees, all that. Yeah, and again, the YouTube is filled with exercises you could go check and see what you have available, what you could do. And listen, you've got to look where you're working out at your home. You got to look at the lay of the land and what are the best workouts you could get in the place that you're living at. You know what I'm saying? And all of that, you know. Right? So if you figure that out, then there's tons of things you can do. You know what I mean? That's really the key there. You know, that's really the key there. You know? I do. The heat would bring detoxing effects. The thing is, though, is that you're sweating unnaturally. Remember, breath exercises, intense breath exercises in the body can harm the inner body, especially in the poses, all of that. When you're doing breath work, whether it's with the Indian yogic method of prana or you're doing it with Qigong, that all that stuff was supposed to be outside, okay, not indoors in a in you know, in an artificial environment that is deliberately designed to intensify the heat. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't bear witness to it. You know what I mean? Not at all. Right? But yeah, that I don't bear witness to Bikram yoga though. Everybody's being fooled when they do that shit. You're dehydrating your body though. You're losing more muscle than you're gaining. And you're basically losing water, so it's a cheap way of getting in shape. It also causes eyes really get high off of it and just wither away like noodles, you know. And it has to be, you know, people use it sparingly though, but it's not useful like the real yogic exercises, you know, and where they're supposed to be and what type of breath methods they are, you know. But yeah, so I'm definitely not a proponent of it at all, you know. Yeah, that's like intermittent fast, like because I teach the class now, I eat a few hours before, so I won't be eating until I train in the morning. You know what I'm saying? But the it would be like an intermittent fast, like 18 hours plus would be an intermittent fast. You know, accepted usually in the fitness world. That's fine if you can take that. You know, some people can't take that. They need to eat something before they go in. You know what I'm saying? Right? So if they don't do that, then they're definitely not ready. They're definitely not ready. Yeah, it does. I've never seen anybody do that, the Bikram, and actually learn how to breathe, you know, or even be interested in proper breathing techniques, you know. That's not what. And like I said, do the research on who founded it and stuff. The guy's a charlatan. Yeah, hot yoga, Bikram yoga, it's all the same though. They don't call it Bikram yoga because the guy that made it up, it was a charlatan. You know, he just took random amount of moves that are in yoga, and he just said, let's do this, repeat it twice. It'll take 90 minutes, and you're soaking in the room. But remember, when you go in a sauna, they only allow you to, and they say you should only be there a certain amount of time. But now it's okay to be doing intensely difficult positions for 90 minutes in a room that is designed to reach, like 100 degrees. And people commonly pass out in there and everything. It's just really not healthy, you know? And they leave the class with puddles of sweat and everything like that. And there's no way that you could immediately hydrate all that, you know? So when you do the class, you're not hydrating while you're in there like that. You can't hydrate as quickly as you're losing the water. So, you know, this is bullshit. It's just hustles to get white chicks skinny though, and get that nice growth frame that everybody loves, right? Oh boy, high school wrestling practice. You know, I never was in a high school wrestling team, although I was recruited for that. You know, I didn't do too much research on that because they're so expensive. So I never thought about doing. I usually end up doing research about tools that I could use, and it was so expensive. I didn't think it was going to be worth buying. So I didn't do so much research on it. You know what I mean? As far as the breathing restricting mask, but a lot of great athletes use that. But I've seen that like taper off, where I don't see people using that too much. You know what I mean? But it seems like a lot of this stuff is to make money off people. You know what I'm saying? And it's such a big hustle. You know, like how many people are making money off home workouts? Like trying to pitch you a home workout that's perfect for you, when the truth is, you should be scouring the YouTube looking for workouts and then applying them to the lay of your own land, because no one's home living is the same. You try to do push-ups on your table, you bust your table. You try to hold the edges of the seats and do push-ups, and then the seat falls back and you bust your ass. Like, everybody's situation is different. You know what I mean? Like, they ask for things that I would never do dips on half of the stuff that they're asking because I break it. You know what I mean? Just like when you buy the pull-up bar, a lot of places the pull-up bar doesn't work because it doesn't latch on or you would break your whole, the whole border of your door frame. You know, so it depends. You've really got to look at the lay. That's why everything starts with the calisthenics and the hit training, because you can do some type of calisthenics and hit training, and then you can get the first easiest thing to buy is two things: your jump rope for the hit training and resistance bands, so that way you could actually get some real muscle building. That's what you first do. If you're doing martial arts training and you want some muscle building in the martial arts, so you could get the weighted gloves. I bought some weighted gloves, and the color was horrible. I had to paint them, right? But made me look like the Green Goblin, but they were 2 pounds each and worked great, So you want to look at the materials that you can afford and what you could do. You know what I'm saying? But are you saying that I look like the Hulk's nemesis? But to see Johnson, like how I got this knowledge, that's a long story. I mean, I've given it in some places, some videos if you find them and stuff, but mainly it was just because I was getting in tune with myself as what is a Puerto Rican, what is a Boricua, what are the Afro-Indigenous roots, and the militant revolutionary roots of being Boricua. So I was becoming conscious in that way. But then spirituality, I wanted to have some kind of answer for who was what, and being proposed that nothing was good enough for me. And I'm hearing all these records, and I'm starting to write about records. I start to be and I'm hearing records with people saying that the black man is God, or man is God, and I start to do more research. You know what I mean? And it just goes from there. And because of the hip hop writing and the things I was writing, I end up colliding and meeting Day Sun, because we're at the same college and we're working at different hip hop magazines, and he tells me about this, and I didn't even know people taught this. And the rest is history, really. That's really the short form version, But the levels of consciousness, the levels of militancy, the levels of being a revolutionary, those led me to other things, Well, at least a virtual sit, right? But it definitely does, yeah. Like when I train, I usually train to like what I keep it real. Look, we train to look good, and we train to also what we're trying to do. All right. So when you think of your training, you think of that. Because of what I'm doing, though, it tends to lean me up. But I like to be big, so I tend to eat more. You know what I'm saying? So, and not worry so much about what I'm eating. So even like at the weight that I'm at now, like, I'm this, and I look, I guess, pretty big. I usually look bigger than I actually am, as I weigh lighter than I usually look. So like now I really range in the 12% body fat. The lower 12% body fat. 12 from 11.9 to like 12.3 is where I range. 130 to really 35 pounds in that range. You know what I mean? So, and that'll be like me eating well, and then also like, maybe having a treat or something like that. You know what I mean? Like some kind of vegan treat. Mm-hmm. My sister is good to me, so she's always getting me some kind of, some treat, vegan treat, But yeah, so like, I don't always go with the, with exactly, you got to know your body type and how you work. That becomes a lot easier, not just studying endomorph, ectomorph, and mesomorph, but it becomes a little easier sometimes when you do the martial arts, because you're already learning like what you're better at as far as being a fighter. And if you're not at the weight where you could actually defend yourself, then it changes your perspective. So there are times when I've lifted real heavy, like I told you I'm about like 135. So I would range up into like 140, and I would be benching, 100 pound dumbbells in each hand. So that's like 200 pounds. And I would be going for like maybe, at my best, I was going like, at the best I was benching 100-pound dumbbells for like 12, 13 reps. And that took a toll on my body. And it was not as useful for martial art and the movement, you know what I mean? And it also broke me down, especially my hands, you know what I mean? The grips on the hands and stuff, you know? But but you experiment, you try new things, and ego, you try things out of ego. That's why I mentioned it, you know what I mean? But what I find best is like really heavy weight. If you have the ideal gym, the heaviest weight that you could pick up though and really have great control over it. So like the best I could bench was like that 200 pounds, and I could bench him, do repeat, but I didn't have control where I could go as slow as I wanted, really maneuver the weight. So the weight that I've always been able to control easily and with real success, but still be heavy, was probably about 85-pound dumbbells. 85, yeah, 85, 170 together. So yeah. Powerball, I mean from my height, though. You know what I mean? I'm about 5'4", so I don't mean big and tall, and you know what I mean. Most people that are my height are a little bit lighter. You know what I mean? If they're in if they're in some kind of shape, you know what I mean. But yeah, it depends on what you want to do. You have to figure out what you want to actually do with it, but also be honest with yourself and how you want to look. Sometimes people want to look a certain way. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't. Yeah, being a bouncer though. Yeah, you can't get caught out there. You know what I mean? So you got to work out. That's definitely a goal, right? Yeah, halftime. That's a good method. Like if you're trying to get certain amount of water, you should be doing a lot of your water drinking while you're working out. You know what I'm saying? Or after we work out. You know what I'm saying? Right? Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. For me, I think if you have the chance, the weight is key to judge your weight, and then of course how you look. But I think that body fat is really a good measure, of how comfortable you feel. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to see how swift you can be at the best highest weight. You know what I'm saying? So when you do that, it works. You know what I mean? And like I said, I found, because like I found, for example, if I go below certain body fats, like get into the 10, 11, you know what I mean? Like low 11, 10% body fat, I don't feel as strong. So it's something I work at to see if I could get to that, but it's not as useful. You know what I mean? So you always want to you always want to test your body fat. You know what I'm saying? And now they have weight scales that you can get, the electric scales that will test your body fat and all that kind of stuff. And of course, though, as a personal thing, I also, because of these scales, I always make sure I try to keep my muscle percentage at about 42%. So that's always my goal. So I'm usually at like the 41.8, 41.9, so 42. Like it's always juggling, right? That's how I think, And again, the things I'm saying are really small. So like if you're working out, nothing. The first things you could go get online, get yourself a jump rope and a resistance band. Okay, I say resistance band first because go for your muscles first, and then get your jump rope. But these are things that you can get. I don't know. I never seen him do anything athletic like that, so I can't say that he. And I never heard him claim that he did 300 push-ups a day. So I'm not gonna say what he was doing. He was very lean, or skinny. I don't know if he was just old skinny, like I'm old, so now I don't have much weight, or he was in shape. I don't know. You know? Yeah, I don't know how big you are, Brilliant Elevation, but like man, if I drank a 16 ounce of one shot, I'd be in the bathroom every 10 minutes. You know what I mean? I think this right. We have to drink a lot of water, but we don't want to always flush out the body. Continuously flush out the body, because all the time, like certain times of the day, like when you wake up, you want to take in those 8+ ounces and flush out the body. But during the day, as you're eating and stuff, you don't always want to just keep flushing, okay? Because remember, everything has to be absorbed, the nutrients and all that. So you could even, if you're over drinking or drinking at spots of extreme amounts at certain intervals, that's also extreme drinking. So you got to be careful how you do that. You know what I mean? Of course, when you're at a job and it's easier to hydrate if you just leave your desk and go to the bathroom all the time. But yeah, like yeah, be careful with over drinking too. I think with that over drink, because for me personally, again, this is anecdotal. You know what I'm saying? It's anecdotal, but I found that I would, because it's easier. Because again, I'm only 5'4". I'm only 5'4". Like I'm about 5'4.5" at most. So really 5'4", right? And I was. It's easier for me to overhydrate, right? Obviously, it's easier for me to overhydrate. So I found that with the same type of food diet, when I drank to keep balance, like I was literally more conscious and aware of my body and when to drink the water, and not always going by amount, but just keeping the urine clear and keeping myself hydrated and just being more aware of hydration, and then letting it fluctuate for the weather, for the seasons, and so on and so forth in my training moments, right? What I found is that my body fat was easier to lower in that fashion. And I think it was because the nutrients were actually being absorbed better, because I wasn't just flushing everything out, you know. So when I was drinking like a gallon, just pushing it down like that, and eating the same type of food, same quality of food, I was probably around like 13 to 14% body fat. Now I'm like at like low 12, high 11. So it makes some kind of difference in the quality, and in the quality of the absorption of the food, though. And of course, this also tells you really looking at the quality of the food that you eat. You know what I'm saying? The quality of the proteins that you have and stuff. Right? So let me just write these things down. Like if you're, home workout essentials. So people that may be listening, they might not be adding on, because I feel like the brothers adding on. I think you guys are all great athletes. You just need that motivation to go back in. And to me, that's all about the anger you put in, the fury that you put in, the intensity, and also music, man. You need to make sure you get the right music, because sometimes you can be playing the music you like, but it may not be diverse enough. And take it from me, I'm someone that has thousands upon thousands upon thousands of songs, albums, and hundreds of albums. I'm always constantly. I have to look through lists of music that I have just to see what I have. And when you switch it up and find the right vibe, sometimes that'll help. You know what I mean? Right? Challenge the muscles, challenge the ears. You know what I mean? Everything is a palette to be studied and to be worked on. You know what I mean? But home workout essentials, you get the I would start with resistance bands. And mind you, I'm going for cheapness here. Resistance bands, you can order these. They're not going to cost you much, you know. And then you use them well, because a lot of times for years I was always getting resistance bands and using them in the wrong way and breaking them immediately. You know what I mean? Resistance bands and then a jump rope. These are your first immediate things for muscle building and HIIT training. And then after that, what was the other thing? There was something else, but I'm forgetting. Those two main things we begin with. Okay, and then later you can see what else, other things you can get. You know what I mean? But okay. Yeah, so like breathing elevation, if you're working somewhere where it's hot, sweaty, you would, the water drinking is going to be more natural and getting yourself up to where the urine is clean, so it's going to work out. You know what I mean? Alkaline water, like you can alkalinize a lot of the water you have though, just with citrus and things like that. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, you can't go wrong with JP, right? Yeah, that one figure four, yeah, definitely. Remember the perfection, Sean P. Oh man, what a great brother. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, but yeah, get your training in because you're gonna need this. You're gonna need this. You're gonna want this, and when the routines become even more of a semblance, and we get back to a little bit more normalcy, it's something from this carryover of quarantine. You want to carry over really good habits and say, listen, this quarantine is over. It's changing now. We're going to go back out into the world. You want to have things where you say, like, listen, but I'm not giving up that. I'm keeping that. And that's how you're going to want to build. You know what I'm saying? You want to keep those things. So it's how you keep those things, how you make them necessary, and really make it unacceptable. Also, too, right? Have different types of workouts. Have your long workout first. You have your long and your short workouts. So you make different workouts because there's a couple of reasons why. When you don't have time, you do your short workouts. When you have time, you can do longer workouts. But you also have to make workouts for injury. Okay, what type of workout would I do when I'm injured? Because sometimes we'll go through the motions with workouts that are not fit for the way our body is dealing with things at that current moment. So we end up doing wasteful exercise. You see that a lot in calisthenics. Calisthenics, people don't realize that it's adjustable for a reason. They'll do the same type of push-up, but maybe their wrist is messed up, so it's not really working this way. So maybe they want to move the hands or do something different. You know what I'm saying? And change the routine of the calisthenics. So you have to have different workouts. You have to always constantly be developing different workouts. And the first one you should have in your head, though, that should be more set is what is the longer workout, the typical workout I want to do all the time, and then what is that shorter workout if I don't have time and I want to get something in anyway. And that's why I always say get in the habit of making your workout short and intense because the shorter workout you could figure out could be like, what would be the workout that I definitely can't even do for a long time? That's where your answers for short workout are, and that's what you would do. And again, a lot of the roots of this workout are in what you go to failure because you're doing home workout. You should be doing push-ups to failure. If you have resistance bands, using those resistance bands, until failure. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that you're doing, until failure. Until you can't do it. You jump rope, you're doing your hit training, you're going as fast as you can until you can't do it anymore. Sometimes people time the hit train. Like they'll do 30 seconds hard, rest for 20, 30 seconds. I tend not to do that. I tend to do a bulk time and I go as intense as possible. And then I take a break and I try to limit the break. That break I'm counting in my head, maybe about to 10 to 15 or something like that. And then I'm going back in. But I'm going back as long until I reach failure. Like I had to trip on the rope and trip it up, or I just can't do it anymore. Can't swing those arms on, right? Can't jump anymore. So you have to constantly be constructing things in your head, formulations in this shit. Yeah, in all things, God, I want you to look at how you write your history. When there are things that you should do or things that you're not sure if you should do, I want you to always think of the future. Like, will you be happy with this decision in the future? Will you be happy with that decision? That's how you judge things. You know what I'm saying? That's how you judge things. And that's why it's something we learn in the martial arts because we're always thinking of, like, the possible fight, the possible confrontation. Like, if I go this far in this confrontation, where would I be? But then what happens? You start thinking, like, why would I be in that situation? And what would I do to not be in that situation? So you're constantly thinking of, like, the futures that you're writing, the history that you're writing. So whenever you're dealing with your training, it's like, listen, do I really, how would I feel? Would I feel better not working out, or I feel working out? Also take in the probability factors. Okay, you can understand this better because we're more quarantined now. What is the percentage? Let's say you, from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, what is the percentage of likelihood that you end up not working out? Does it increase if you, the longer you wait during the day? See, for me, it'll increase the longer I wait in the day. So if I say I won't work out and I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna read or something and not work out immediately in the morning, then that means that there's the probability of you not training has increased because what? Because now there are other things that could hamper the day, challenges, things that you do. For me, even just as a writer, I could be thinking of ideas and like, oh, I have all these ideas. So even if I do train, I can have like one of those. I end up having these type of workouts. Like I have one of those impaired workouts where I'm training, but every single push-up is inspiring something that I'm writing. So I have to stop, write down ideas, and if they're good, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna write them down. They're dope. You know what I'm saying? And then I end up writing. So now I've turned the workout that was like an hour to a workout that has good intensity, but it's going to cause a lot of fatigue. So it's the same hour workout. Let's say hour or 2 hour workout, because mine's go about an hour and a half. Because there's some preparation, changing of clothes. I go outside, whatever, change into weapons, whatever. But that 1.5 hour workout becomes 3 hours because I might be writing or doing other things, ideas that come in the head. So I might, let's say I go and I do them all intense and I do everything hard. What I did was I caused extra fatigue for the next day. And it's not a useful fatigue. You know what I'm saying? As the intense, concentrated workout. You know what I mean? And plus too, right? When I have an intense training workout, I love doing it. I always learn to do my training in the morning because if I went to work, that rest period would be on the train. So now if I'm at home, my rest period is right after that morning. People still aren't even starting a day, and I could go back and drink that protein drink post-workout meal and then just relax and maybe even catch a quick nap. You see? So the benefits of getting things out of the way. Also, too, that charge from that HIIT training and that muscle building could be used for the whole day. You know what I'm saying? And it works like that. You know what I mean? So what you want to do is you want to think about the future. How will I feel though if I don't tackle these particular things that I need to do? How will be the repercussions of that choice? You know? That's how you begin to write your history. Right? Right. You know, and think about that because I keep saying this. I said this early on in the class session. With this quarantine, you think you have a lot of time, but what it should be showing you, and I'm saying I knew this because I've been working freelance and I've been trying to, you know, I've raised my daughter, you know, at home while I did freelance, while I trained, while I did all this stuff. There is very little time. There is very little time to do stuff. Okay, so a lot of people are in quarantine. They're like, "Oh man, now I have all this day and stuff like that." Man, it's the real theory of relativity, man. That time was going slow while you was at work. That time is gonna go fast because it's truly yours then. You know what I mean? It's yours to use it. It's yours to do what you will with it. You know, so it's going to take long. You know, right? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Right? You think you have time, you delay stuff, and then what happens? You know, what happens? You start to say, okay, I'll finally get to reading. And you start to read, and maybe you're reading on your phone, like I always do. All my books are on my phone, right? Or access through the apps, the majority of my collection. Somebody's texting me, somebody's emailing me, right? You know what I mean? And I could choose not to answer, I choose to answer, either or, you know what I mean? But that's what it is. Hopefully that helps us get like better training and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And everything, you know, because I said the training is not just your body. but the talents that you have, right? And right now we should be thinking about how we're going to monetize everything that we have. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know. Now I'll tell you this stuff, right? You gotta touch a book, right? Would you rather touch a book or, like me, have thousands of books, even though I can't touch all of them? Okay. So in a small amount of space, though, I have a library that is bigger than my home could actually fit. You know what I mean? I have over 2,000 books, though. So I don't, I'm not rich yet like that, where I can have a whole library to fit all them books. You know what I mean? So the thing is, though, is that we're just using the capabilities. Just like I absolutely don't have a library room for a library large enough for my music collection. You know what I mean? Just in Google Play alone, I have nearly about 90,000 songs, right? How many albums would that be if albums are like 10 songs or something? Well, when you talk about now finding the way to best, let me just write this down. Um, the best way, the best methods you can research to get short term into long term, right? And then being able to test it, you know, right? Meditation. Yeah, I like that. I like that method, right? I like that method, job. Meditation, workout, study, right? Eating, other self-care activities, right? Yeah, you know, that's good, you know. C. Johnson, the books are digital, they're mine, you know? And in this class structure, the curriculum entails that a lot of the stuff, that's why I ask you to email me all the time, because the curriculum is all digital. So I won't just be emailing you plus lessons that I teach, or the lessons if you start to deal with mathematics, alphabet 120, and start to memorize it and build with me on it. But I'm also emailing you books, you know. Oh, I didn't see that question, Powerborn. My bad, you know. Um, the truth is, Powerborn, is that I always saw myself as the original man because I always saw myself as a black man. You know what I mean? And I started to see that once I became conscious of my reality coming from my immediate lineage of being Puerto Rican. You know? Yeah, I just gave it. It's literally right above Sunez97 at Gmail. It's literally right above that, like two above, right? But literally seeing myself as the original man, seeing myself as what is a Boricua, an Afro-Indigenous man, and who are these oppressors that supposedly lighten us up if we're not original? Well, they were half original. These Spaniards, right? Their entire culture, their history, their legacy, everything that was worthwhile that they supposedly brought to us is literally from the Moorish civilizations that conquered them, right? So this is how I came to, see myself as the original man, right? So yeah, it was pretty immediate, you know. My real situations, and then going to the schools because I didn't know. You know, I'm from Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and it was mainly a Puerto Rican neighborhood, and the guards were usually enemies, gangs, and that's how it was. It seemed to proliferate. So I didn't know there was teaching things, right? Yeah, but Powerball, you gotta understand that people don't really understand what was taught. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of internet people, internet trolls, internet people that really don't understand this knowledge. You know, and the phrase "half original" is really more of a descriptive phrase. It isn't a phrase of you know to identify a person with. Because if they're half original, they're either what? They're either half righteous. They're giving either teaching righteousness and devilishment, like we described Musa in the lesson, right? or they're half white and half black. And we know that if someone is neither half or not like that, they either are or they aren't. You know, the brothers that I know that are they might have a black mom or have a black dad, or you know, and a white mom or a white dad, and either or, right? Mix. They're original people. To me, they're original people. You know? If their mentality was grafted, then their mentality is grafted. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't necessarily be just because, oh yeah, that's because they have a white parent, though. You know? And the truth is, and we keep it real, a lot of times though, the white parent though is in that relationship because they're not, and they're doing their best not to deal with devilish, and they have love for the original. You know? Yeah, self half original does not mean an 85. Okay, does not mean that. Okay, you will be using it incorrectly if you said that. Okay, I mean, it's not competing mentalities. There's no such. I get where that confusion would come with, right? As far as half original being competing mentalities, but half original, if someone has competing mentalities, that means that they're not righteous. You know what I'm saying? That and this higher lower self, I don't teach that shit either. You know what I mean? Right, right. By the way, self-making is a good way of approaching things. Yeah, because when you test it, you're right, self-magnetic. When you're memorizing, you want to go back and test to see if what you had before. So it's good to see if it compiles. You know, you want to see if it all compiles. Right? That's true, Powerborn. You know, so true self, you're 100% original. I don't, you know. Yeah, the reason I don't teach about higher self and lower self is that it's usually an exclusionary thing. You know what I'm saying? It's in a lot of ancient doctrines that people talk about that, but understand that in a lot of the ancient Asian texts and stuff like that, that this higher self, lower self comes out of and stuff. And let's say, for example, yang and yin and all kind of stuff. That's really confusion and bad translation. That's first off. The other thing about the higher self, lower self is that it becomes exclusionary, because now when you do something, that's not you doing it. That's your lower self. You know, so basically you could inhabit the lower self. And like I said before, your perfection is based on you always being into the lesson. Everything is a lesson. Whatever I have done here becomes a lesson, preparation for the next performance. So even though this is a performance here, it is preparation for a future one. So we were always in a lesson. This is going to be a lesson right here. Okay? So the thing is, I don't want people to, literally scapegoat the shit out of everything that they do. And I want them to be inside the mistake. I want them to be aware of their mistake and say, yo, this is actually me doing this mistake. And this is me going to build stronger. You know what I'm saying? Because what makes you build greater, that's also disconnecting from the work that you put in to get to where you're at. You know? So that so-called lower self deserves not to be excised and extrapolated from the reality that made you you. You know what I'm saying? So that I wouldn't see as right and exact. You know what I mean? And right self, yeah, they wasn't 85. They sure knew a lot of things, right? And the truth is, Columbus though, like he's not really either or, like 10%. He's really I don't see Columbus as 10%. I see him more as a tool for the 10%. A very major one, especially in the Greek, but he's more of a tool. You know what I mean? Not like he was guiding policy or anything like that. You know what I mean? He's just basically a guy that was just trying to get ahead of the game. You know? Yeah, in many ways, Pablo, you're creating a mystery god. And, take note of when people say that. It doesn't mean that they're 100% wrong. It doesn't mean I yell at them immediately if they say something like that. But over time, this is how you're going to see it, because I want you to acknowledge that these mistakes are really the foundations of your lessons. You shouldn't take that away from who you actually are. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, let me explain something about that. Native Americans are original people too, absolutely. But it's not also other original people that don't get that. It's also the Native Americans themselves, because they themselves are often disassociating with the black to actually become their own entity. You know what I mean? Well, Obama would certainly be 10% on many levels. You know what I'm saying? He definitely did 10% things, and he had too much power to not say that. And I don't think that, in many respects, we could argue, if we really go deep into it, that he didn't have everybody's best interest at heart. You know what I mean? When you compare and contrast him to Trump, though, he does look, even looking at all of the folly here, like, because most of this virus stuff is really his fault and his inaction. It doesn't seem like much of a of a of a planned conspiracy, than more like a screw up, right? Now, the two germs, the black and the brown germ, make up the original man. You know, Al Sharpton is not a Yakub. He didn't make anything. Okay, he didn't make anything. He just manipulates things. So he's definitely not Yakub. Let's not give him, let's not give him Hall of Fame, devil status. Al Sharpton is just manipulating situations. But the two germs, the black and the brown germ, right? That's what composes the original man. There's no original man without a black and a brown germ. So these are the compositions of the genes that make up the original man. To say one is a weaker aspect or a stronger aspect is also to lose track of the synergy and the necessity that they have. So, for example, look at it as the limbs: the black legs, the brown limbs. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, definitely. But the Dominicans. I was just saying this before, um, to my sister. Um, Dominicans have the greatest miseducation in the Latin Caribbean, by far. They have been miseducated where they could scholarly debate the wrong shit. You know what I mean? And they've been instructed that they are European, and that is the difference between them and the Haitian. Haitians are more African, they are more Spaniard, and of course, to them, Spaniard means white. You know what I'm saying? Even as they have drums and they have music that is the most blackest ish you'll ever see. Aside from them looking black as hell. Right? So it's just every original peoples has very unique oppression. So we have to take that into consideration now. Some of the 85 African Americans are 85 savage, and they haven't even been half as properly miseducated as Dominicans. So what's their excuse? When you think about it like that, you know what I mean? Right? Yeah, and that's what we have to learn stuff. Like there's different types of 85. You know what I mean? Different levels. You know what I mean? Different levels, and we have to understand our original peoples. We have to understand their cultures. We have to learn about their cultures and stuff. You know what I mean? They wait till 1 a.m. to play the most. Yeah. Like if they're hiding it and shit. Yeah, you're funny guy. It was funny. Yeah, because I lived in the Heights for about 12 years and shit, so I know exactly what you're saying. But we don't have that much time left. We have about 20 minutes left. I've been doing these till 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? Even when we get back to Allah School of Mecca, I'll be doing this till the letter 10 o'clock. But that's the book I would recommend for Judeo-Christianity. But and I could email you that if you want to digitally. But any Christianity book is good to collect. You just take it. Don't ask no questions. Just go take it. Mm-hmm. They're all worthwhile. You know. So just for the sake of these notes here that I'm going to put in the summary, let me just jot down some things. Okay. Now, for so far, does everything kind of make sense? Um, yeah, you know, see, the colorism is going to be everywhere. That's the whole point of this devilishment. You know what I mean? That colorism pervades. You know, right? Okay. The job of this, though, and I'll tell you, Pablo, and it's not because I'm being a dick, but I'm being a dick. I'm a jerk about this. I want you to engage. I will not be emailing you. You have to email me. Okay. The homework really is though is really in this quarantine time, especially for most of us. I need you to really practice the triangle of power. Okay. I need you to have a real program of reading, writing, and training. Okay. I think for most though, we think we have to read, we think we have to train, but most of us though don't think we have to write. I would like you to each of you to try to get a journal. You know what I mean? You know, a journal and write down. If you see this journal was completed, right? If you look closely though, this journal was completed. It took me from January of this year to February, the end of February. So it takes me about 2 months to write 200 pages. That's about 25 pages a week. That's a lot, but you know, you don't have to do that much. But this is the 53rd book. It's the 53rd book. I want you to have your own book to write your thoughts, ideas, and be able to go back to it. Okay, that's where you start with your writing. Okay, if you want to write things, you want me to see certain things. Not, an even more beginner place to write besides your journal is send me how you see the day's mathematics. You know what I mean? Write me questions and ideas. Formulate questions every day. Okay, right? Thank you. Yeah, you know, I'm not an artist. You know what I'm saying? So I just try to pepper with stickers that they get. You know what I mean? But that is the homework, though. We have to master this. This is the fifth. I'm on my 54th one, and there were years where I didn't write. You know, and a lot of those years is because I was just writing so much. It was hard to, as a writer, to write things to the world and then remember to go back. But this is the root of the skills that I have. Whatever skill I have is because I spent a long time writing these things. You know, so I always go back to it. You know, and I've been writing them since 1998. Since 1998, and the reason I wrote them was because the books that I was reading, really, because I learned about the school, but I didn't go to the school, so I spent 1998 trying to learn everything I could, so I wouldn't be turned away, because that's what I thought. At a law school in Mecca, I was writing down everything I wanted to remember from the books I read. So if I read, if I read a Diop book or anything like that, I tried to write down everything. Eventually, it was the one spark. When I read Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, I realized that I couldn't steal the pieces of the book that I wanted. So I started to write it down instead. And I realized that two things, right? I put out scholarly notation. I have a plus lesson on this. I haven't digitized it yet. To write it down. I have papers with it, but I haven't written it down on the computer. I did two things. When I read books, you don't have to do this, but I was writing down passages I wanted to keep. Okay? Now, I still have this habit because it helps me memorize things. So even books that are in my own possession, I tend to do that. It helps me memorize, gets my pen full. But then I critique it. I critique a passage that I may have tagged, or highlighted on the digital book, like those passages that you dog-eared the page and that you want to go back to. That's what I'm talking about. And I critique that passage, critique the passage that I tagged. And as I go along, I did it in the proper. So let me just write it. Communicative voice to match cipher of the author. Okay, what that means right there, right, in the proper communicative voice to match the cipher of the author. In other words, I try to respond as if I'm speaking to him in his world. So if it's P.E.A.C.E, I'm trying to respond like we're at a scholarly symposium or something like that. You know what I mean? That's right. The creator creates creation. Right? We didn't even build on that. That might be too heavy for the last 15 minutes. But I'll make note of that, though. I will build on that for the next class and stuff. Okay? But that's the... But that's how I see it. But when you get your journal, what you're really doing is not only writing about all the books, but about everything. You write about your life in your journals, and this is in the curriculum that I give out. So if you email me, you'll be getting this. You write about your life. You write about your bills, meaning math, alphabet, and 120, wherever you're on, and then the books, music, arts, you encounter. You encounter. And don't disrespect this. Don't disrespect yourself. That you shouldn't have a journal to write about your life. That you shouldn't write about your thoughts, that they're not important. Don't worry about that shit that somebody's gonna see it and nothing like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not a little girl in a cartoon. Like nobody's gonna snitch on the girls you like or whatever. You know what I mean? There has to be some way to catalog. You know what I'm saying? Catalog the reality of you. Okay? Okay, so right now, just so that we're good for the next class, who did I get an email? I got an email from Powerborn. Okay. So I'll make sure that I email you. Okay, so let's see. Okay. I did want to give a quick answer to one of the good questions that I got. You know what I mean? This might need a long answer because it's a long question. Okay. But one thing about okay, yeah, all right. That's so okay. All right. What's your thoughts on Bruce Lee? Yeah, I think the most acclaimed and greatest martial artist like of the last in the 20th century, probably Bruce Lee and P.E.A.C.E. Yeah, trying to write his name the proper way because it's so dope. Morier, Shiba, and Bruce Lee. As far as popularity, influence, and just really incredible skill and talents. Morier Shiba, The Art of Peace. Bruce Lee, the art of the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. I think Jeet Kune Do is really just, it says the same principles as Wing Chun. You know, it's simplifying things. You know, so it's like hip hop. You know, they just keep minimalizing things because they make it more rough. You know, so I've never heard of that book. If you want to write, I'll take note of that. I don't really read books about how to write them. You know, I just write, and the best way to be a writer to me is to read, okay, and to have something to say, okay. If you have an understanding, a unique understanding, a unique insight that you want to share, that you feel should be shared, and then you just, all you have to do is just find the way to say it. And the more creative that way that you say it, the better writer you are. And that takes practice, and that takes a lot of work. You know, a lot of reading. Reading a lot is truly what makes you a great writer. Okay? Yeah, Mori Shiba though. You may be familiar with him. He's the guy that invented this, Aikido. Okay? Right? And when you read The Art of Peace, which I could give you as well, I could email it to you, then you'll see, you know, so many parallels between his understanding and the way that we deal with the knowledge of self. And again, remember, the martial arts are a crucial core tradition of the gods. It's because of that. You know, the gods always did the martial arts. You know, I'm part of that lineage as well, of us doing martial arts and teaching that. Right? Absolutely. You know, absolutely. You know? But I will say this though, right? Do not fall into the trap of only looking for original people that look like black and brown. Okay? You watch a martial arts movie and they could all be yellow seeds though. You already saw the original. Okay? Sometimes we actually study in the same mentality of the early black books movement, where they're just trying to find the so-called African into everything else. You know, I actually never got to meet him though. I know brothers that train with him and everything. You know, so that was a great man. You know, definitely if I go 20th century, like my definition when I say Bruce Lee or Mori Shiba, is people the most popular. You know, but Moses Powell's definitely in those annals of greatness. You know? By the way, people read the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, but that's really for fighters and stuff, and I find it not very useful as the jewels that are in the Tao. What is the name of it? Let me try to find it. Trying to find the name of this Bruce Lee book. I want to get it right. Yeah, there's a lot of good Bruce Lee books, you know, and there's not the only one, but his philosophy and his understanding of Kung Fu, the Tao of Kung Fu is probably the best book. It's spelled like that. Oh, that's Peace about the writing book? Okay. Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's just my personal experience. So I'm sure that other people found it as well, you know, or see it that way too. It is. It is. Aikido is considered the way of peace. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as far as the to me, it all starts with, you know, when he talks of, if you separate the original people, then you can make a timeline for anything. You see what I'm saying? Um, when we talk about, it's the reason I respect the Chinese for what they did with Kung Fu and I don't do all that stuff is that they develop stuff on their own in there by themselves that adds on to it in an original way. You know what I'm saying? But there are fighting styles from the beginning though, and they go all the way back, so their roots are there. You know what I mean? I certainly wouldn't say if there was a martial art that everybody should know. Um, I absolutely would not say jiu-jitsu, because for the average person, they're not going to be able to wrestle and get on the floor. And to me, a martial art that gets you on the floor to fight is already impairing you. You can't run, you can't, so that's not what I would pick. So even though it sounds biased, though, I would pick a martial art. Let me go backwards. I would pick a martial art though that people that were not very athletic could be effective with. Okay, so that would eliminate most boxing, boxing and stuff like that, because you need to have that you need to be in some shape and also be able to get that knockout blow, and you have to know how to punch, you don't know how to punch. So how would people be able to defend themselves? What's the easiest way for people to defend themselves? To me, it would be easy all day Wing Chun, because it's based on the defense, and then even the punches and the strikes are based on quick, repeated strikes. So you never need that knockout blow. You just need to have quick strikes that could immediately morph back into a block. So it's Wing Chun by far. You know. I think that I don't know if I would want you to look at 120 as a martial art, because I don't think that you should look at everything though like it's just war, but it usually is. So it is type of a martial art. You know what I mean? In fact, there's a lot of martial art strategy to understanding and how you learn. But yeah, I wouldn't say boxing per se, because Wing Chun would already teach you some kind of simple boxing. You know, because I think that most martial arts you have to be athletic. Wing Chun doesn't need you to be athletic though. The principles are there. They just need to be practiced. You know. The truth is that people that aren't athletic, they're always going to be victims to get beat up. But if you weren't a great athlete, you still would be effective with Wing Chun, because it gives you all the basic blocks, and it's not based on a knockout blow. Okay? That makes sense, right? Um, Most fights, if they last longer than a second or two, go to the ground, right? But you also get, unless you really know how to do what you're doing, you're going to get into a strength match, right? So look at a person like me. It doesn't matter how strong I am. People are just bigger, so that wouldn't work. Also, too, if you're in a fight with you're thinking of fights with one person, though. If you're really thinking, though, you wouldn't be only in fights with one person. Okay, and no matter what, though, every fight that you encounter in the street is going to be one person plus the possibility of police. So there's never. Yeah, I don't know what you said there. Sanuces. Um, Yeah, JKD is definitely a remix of Wing Chun. Absolutely. Self defense. Like I said, you would define like what would be the most useful martial art though. Like think about it. If you were teaching your daughters how to fight though, you would teach them something where it would not be predicated on massive strength or that great blow. And you'd also teach them like what would be the most efficient way to block. That's Wing Chun, because remember, Wing Chun is basically Kung Fu itself. The animal form's all there, but concentrated into its most rudimentary forms. This is the Baksao is the only move that turns this way. So even the elbows are never even flying out. So you always have where, like what I was saying before, is from Wing Chun is the triangle of power. So you know what I mean? You're always going to be there. Some of the other martial arts, though, they weren't even teaching people that couldn't even move, so it wouldn't work out. But if you told me like what would be the martial art for any old Joe, yeah, so Wing Chun. You know, is it based on the player, the guy, the one who was doing the fighting? Of course, though. If you suck, you suck. You know what I mean? If I'm average kung fu and he's great boxing, it don't matter how good Wing Chun is. I'm getting beat up. That ain't my night. Right. And you know, like again, a lot of the forms of see, that's the thing though. Like I'm biased though. All of this stuff is already in kung fu, so they're just isolations. All of the other forms are just isolations, like judo and stuff like that, jujitsu. They're all isolations of kung fu. Kung fu really is the umbrella of everything. So it's more the mentality of how you're fighting though. You know, are you fighting circular, or are you fighting linear? You see, are you fighting in a way to defend things around you, or are you fighting linear to attack things? And most of the martial arts that are being named here, they're not like kung fu. They are linear. So they are not about the preservation of your own body. They're about the destruction of something in front of you. Okay, that'll defend you. That'll help you. But to me, the greatest martial art is really the circular, protecting what is around you, and then also protecting and preserving the body. Nothing is designed that way, but the martial arts of kung fu. You know? That root, right? Right, halftime. Yeah, it's not always the art form that's most important, though. But when we choose an art form, we also should uh, choose it on our body type and what we intend to do. You know what I'm saying? If you're willing to take a lot of blows, then you go be a boxer. Because even if you decide to fight professionally and not like that, you gotta take them. If you do a more Asian martial art, if you do Wing Chun, if you choose something over Wing Chun and you do something like, you know, um, Taekwondo, or you do something like Muay Thai, Muay Thai especially, you're going to be getting a lot of blows. You're going to be getting hit a lot, and you're going to have to bruise up your body. So each martial art is a choice that you're taking of how you're going to manage yourself, your body. How do you preserve yourself, and how do you attack? Self, I don't. Creator creates creation. Read, write, and train. Um, Yeah, because it does have a knowledge wisdom aspect to it. The creator is already what is in his head, what knowledge, what true ideas in his head, right? How he creates, right? What he writes, what he puts out there, right? What he formulates, and then how he trains. So, like the creation, like what is the surface area of what he just made, and how does he live in that creation? So it just happens that way, you know. A lot of my builds tend to be in triple couplets, like in triplets, like that, you know. So they do coincide, you know. But certainly two different things that I taught, you know, they go together because I've been working for this perfect symmetry all my life, right? But right, right. Do what you got to read. Right, we're past 3 hours. This class is at its end. Anybody has a last quick question, you can definitely email me. Um, by the way, the judo about grab and things like that, that's all in kung fu already. It's called chin. You know? Chin na. You're grabbing different body parts and manipulating. You know, right? But email me if I don't on the say you were. I'm willing to you. Didn't waste your time. I do not want you insightful. Just leave. I will definitely be here next. Now, if anybody has any questions, you have my email. The only place where everything needs to be answered. Okay. So please let me know. And if you find me in IG and I don't know, hit me up. Because sometimes I lose track too. I don't know. But if anything, get at me. Okay. And if I don't get back to you soon enough, though, get at me again. That's how you get this. You harass the teachers that you're trying to learn from. All right. That's what I did. Denounce me and save your knowledge and everybody else. All right. So with that said, peace. Stay healthy. Build strong, and take care of your families with love. All right. Peace.